All right, we're gonna make a video. Mark is here with me. Mark is iPad rehab right-hand man. He works out of Florida with us, and he comes up to do the course, and we're doing the course this week. So he's here. We're getting our last-minute jobs finished up before course week, and just kind of wanted to share with you a couple of things that I've been sitting here writing out notes that say, we can't help solve this outside of data recovery because we're starting to see boards that are coming in where people have been trying to microsolder or trying to do straightforward connectors and not doing a great job. So if you are new to microsoldering and board repair and you want to get into that, that's fantastic. Come to the course, come get trained, or go out and buy some dead boards and start practicing. Buy some, get some iCloud lock board and just start taking connectors off and putting them back on. But what you don't want to do is try to learn on your customers' devices, especially data devices. That's really, really sad. So I wanted to make this video because one came up just now that is pretty sad, I think. But I went out and dug out of my pile from tonight a couple of boards. This one here is, can you help me with this iPad Air charge port? First of all, iPad Air charging issues are rarely the actual charge port. They can be pretty complex, but let's take a look at this charge port here and see if we can help them. And this is what the charge port looks like. So this will be a job for you, Mark. So Mark, so you looked at this first, and then I noticed it went to my pile. What's up with that?
That was a hell no.
It was a hell no. Yeah, I mean, when you're missing more pads than you have present, that's it's not. This is not a candidate for repair. The effort, it's technically repairable. The effort that would be required to bring the line for each one of those missing pads would clearly exceed the value of the board itself. So when you get to this point, it's no longer a candidate for repair outside of data recovery. So that's what we would send back a quote for data recovery to the customer. But this is just really sad. It doesn't have to be like this. Mark, why do you think something like this would happen?
Somebody was trying to remove the port with more force than necessary and less heat than necessary.
Yeah, this is probably didn't use enough heat and just, lack of experience with ports. And I have a video, I believe, on this exact connector that shows, exactly how to do that. So go find that video, watch it, practice, and don't let this happen to you. So that's a definite no fix for the sake of the phone, sake of the board. Here's the next one. This was the actual next one that I pulled out of the pile where a guy sent it in for iPad mini digitizer connector. And it's again the same deal where, this is missing way too many pads. Let me fix this camera. So this one is a little bit more repairable than the other one maybe. But in order to repair this, you'd have to figure out where all of those missing pads go, which we did. And I have a video on exactly how to do that. But one of them goes straight from this missing pad straight under a big BGA chip with no other components that you could sort of tap into that line between. So you'd have to run a micro jumper to the trace under the connector, as well as fill in jumpers for all of the other missing pads. And that would be a really big nightmare because the connector itself is really not going to have good mechanical stability with that many pads missing. So again, this is a data recovery board now as far as I'm concerned. So those were two in a row. And then the next one that I pulled, oh, let's watch you. You want to come over here? Let's make you big so that we can see how to actually desolder the shields, because this is exactly what the problem was here. You could just kind of like show this camera here because it's kind of big.
Oh well.
I'm gonna go under the microscope.
Yeah, it doesn't really work.
Yeah, it's a little bit too close.
I don't know if I'm even in frame on that. Kind of. See, I've got the shield held with tweezers, and just heat up the shield and let gravity do all the work.
So this is a 5S, and it's a U2 job, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Mark's doing just a straightforward, let's desolder the shield, and this is, you kind of have to get to know your shield.
And your hot air.
And your station, yeah, exactly. So this is not the station that Mark normally works with. I go to 450, 100 on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, you know, again, it's just about kind of, it doesn't really matter what the numbers are on your station. It's how it performs.
Yeah, this one's totally different than my 52.
And it's because this nozzle is a little bit small for a shield removal job.
Almost there.
There you go. Perfectly safe. All right, let's kind of take this back over here. And let's bring it back out. All right, so the board I wanted to show you is an iPhone 6 data recovery board, and it is here because you know, the guy took it somewhere for, you know, cleaning after water damage, and said, you know, that he's a YouTube watcher, and so he knows, you know, to desolder the shields, which is fantastic, but you have to practice it. You know, you have to really know your station and know how much heat it takes. Some of the iPhone 6 shields are going to be different than the iPhone 5 and 5S shields for sure, especially the one that's on the sort of lower end of the board on the top. So this is what's really sad about this board. If you kind of take a tour of the board for data recovery after water damage, a lot of this looks really good. So it's hard to find actual corrosion, you know, on this section of the board. That all looks pretty good. And then the SIM area looks good. Around the power management chip, that all looks really good, which is fantastic. This board is probably, you know, gonna hold power. And then we'll flip it over and look at the connector area. All of that looks pretty good. We'll desolder that shield. And then this is the shield that's difficult to get off. So you really have to use a wide nozzle and, you know, more heat than you might think in order to get it off. And this one kind of gets to this area. So this is what's really sad. This is all just shield removal damage. So there's...
It's from getting the tweezers in and trying to pry it off.
Yeah. You know, those traces, I mean, are all torn up. There's a component that is knocked off the pads here. This guy's missing there. That's just a dug up board there. And, you know, the problem with this, and I don't know what the outcome is going to be here, but the problem is that, you know, when you dig into a board like that, you're going to have a good chance of shorting together ground plane and traces. You know, and then it just kind of gets worse. It's never the coil, except for this one. Actually, that coil might still be okay, but it's really mangled. You know, this is bad. This is all bad. That's bad. I think he mentioned I might have damaged a cap when removing the shield. You know, that's going to be torn traces in there. So this job now, you know, to hopefully, you know, we're maybe can get lucky. A lot of this is the baseband area of the phone. Baseband is not required for data recovery. So, you know, we'll have to just see. But what makes this such a sad story when I first looked at it just a few seconds ago is, you know, if you kind of wonder, well, aside from that shield damage, what would have taken out this phone? Why wouldn't the phone boot? And if you kind of flip over and look in the classic spot there, the only real damage to this board is right here at the C5202RF cap, which is a real kind of you know, magnet for water damage in the iPhone 6. And this cap looks damaged, and therefore, since it's on the VCC main line, it will short that whole line. In fact, I just did a video where I fixed my husband's water damage, you know, the day that he dropped it in the pond, which is amazing because that was like 4 weeks ago, and we were just swimming out there the other day and ice skating 4 weeks ago. So if I take my multimeter and I just kind of test on either side of this cap, this microscope is really out of focus here. Pretty sure that line is shorted. So let's test for short to ground. Ground, and this side. It's hard to find a piece that's actually, there we go. So what's left of it there. So that line is shorted to ground. It may not be due to that cap, and we can confirm that just like in the other video by coming over here to test some of the other VCC main caps. And VCC main line is shorted. So step one with this repair is to take off that cap to see if that is the only cause of the short in that line. And it may not be now, but I bet that when this phone was initially damaged, I bet it was. That was probably the only thing wrong with it, and this phone probably could have actually been repaired once data recovery happened, data was extracted. This probably would have been a functional phone because this is probably the only thing wrong. Alright, with that cap gone, let's go back to see if the short still exists on VCC main or not. So I'm putting one probe on ground. Alright, so it looks like that relieves that short. Alright, let's go ahead and desolder this top shield just for fun. Did you crank this back down?
Yeah. You want it back up?
Yeah. Because YouTube viewers love hearing the JBC blast right into that microphone. They have the world's shittiest microphone. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm grabbing the board by the shield in an area where I know it can't bother anything else. And then I'm just putting some heat on this. And I'm going to let the board drop away. That's just about it. There we go. Alright, let's take a look. Are you cooling down the U2 job?
Yeah.
So all of that looks beautiful. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so now let's see if we can just get lucky There's really no other corrosion on this board. I don't think there's even any reason to put it through ultrasonic cleaning. I know it's already been through ultrasonic cleaning before it came to us. And there's really nothing corroded on here now that the cap that was shorting out the phone is gone. All right, Mark, what's your prediction? What do you think is going to happen here?
It's either going to boot up and be just fine except for cell service, or it's not going to boot up until you repair some of those traces.
I agree. I wanted to like have a good bet. Like that's like we'll have to have another bet. Let's make a bet on how many times I have to tell you to turn your station off during course week.
Where's my 203?
That would be funny. 203 is at home.
It's at your house.
Yeah. So that will help us out by coming back. All right,
then I'll take that bet.
I did set it up to sleep. You'll be happy about that. All right, so let's get a dock and see what happens here. I think once you develop a basic proficiency, like coming to the course and you kind of get some, I know how this should feel. I've done a few connectors and solved some open-ended problems. Then, like I wouldn't have any problem taking a sight unseen, like the iPad Air Pro. Is that what they're called? iPad Pro?
iPad Pro.
iPad Pro, yeah. I don't even know what it's called. But that job, I have no problem quoting that job as a sight unseen, never been worked on before job, because you kind of develop a proficiency. Would you take a job that was on a board? Would you do a board repair on a device you've never seen before?
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
All right,
much.
I see an Apple logo. Please boot. I just don't want to have to do a whole bunch of trace repair. So even if this phone does boot and we can get data, it's not going to be a functional phone when it otherwise could have been. It definitely doesn't make sense to go after all of that trace repair and replacing all of that stuff. So it can connect, that's good. So I would think it's going to be okay now because it had the ability to connect. It probably won't have a problem with touch from that damage. All right, so this dude got seriously lucky for data.
But it's going to be searching forever.
It's going to be searching forever. All right, trust dialog. Okay, so we'll get the data from this. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I think that's it. So the whole point of this video was just to to know when to stop. Know when you're kind of outside your comfort zone. If you've done a bunch of flexible flat connectors like the iPad Air charge port, then you can go ahead and assume that you'll probably be able to do one for the iPad next that we haven't seen yet. There's nothing wrong with doing that once you have that core proficiency. And you can get that. You don't have to pay to come to the course. It's expensive, it's time. You can learn it really quickly by coming to the course. But if not, just get some boards and practice. Just buy a bunch of connectors, work on it, watch all of the videos. And, by my channel, all the other channels that are doing fantastic videos on microsoldering, watch people, watch their different techniques, try it, practice. There's no substitute for just a ton of hours staring down a microscope and just trying this stuff. And expect that when you begin microsoldering, you're going to ruin boards. All of us did. All of us ruined more boards before we were able to actually reliably fix them. So you have to build up that experience base. So don't just say, hey, I want to, I think I can do it. I watched one video. I'm ready to give it a try on a customer device. That's just a recipe for disaster. And don't assume that we'll be able to help you and like, well, I'll try it, and if I mess up, then we can send it out. It's not going to be repairable all the time. It doesn't make sense for us, as since we do no fix, no fee. Our risk when we look at a repair that it's going to be unstable, something that we can't warranty, we're not going to take the repair. So if you don't have the experience, then send it out. If you want the experience, then practice. If you want to get experience without having to, struggle with, is it my equipment? How do I learn how to use my station? then come to the course. You know, there's definitely ways. Microsoldering is fun. It's, you know, profitable. It's a great thing to add to your business, but know when to say that's outside of my comfort zone. You got anything to add?
No, you covered it all.
Just in class.
Practice on iCloud locked boards, not customer boards.
Yeah, totally. All right.